Look at all these radiating faces. You know, we are peace, love, and joy. We are a radiating center of that. And
No.
now it is. Oh, sorry. So that's a wonderful standard to have to live up to. You know, not only for other people, but for myself, you know, kind of a standard bearer of consciousness. And that's basically what we're talking about. What I'm talking about today a little bit. Our theme is power of the ability of the month is life. And the theme is let us seek peace. And so I'm going to try to integrate the two ideas together. But to give you a little background on myself, in case you didn't know, back in the olden days when we had black and white television, remember those things with the rabbit ears? And, you know, yeah, I come from an interesting religious background, kind of the southern Bible Belt in Oklahoma. And the primary religion down there in that area is Southern Baptists. And those, I mean, they are, you know, fire-breathing, brimstone Southern Baptists. If you didn't believe in a certain way, you're definitely going to, you know, where. So my grandparents kind of a hybrid church because they were Native American. They were Kiowa. And so I had Kiowa members in the congregation. And I remember sitting next to a big Kiowa elder and had these long gray braids, clean, crisp white shirt. And then the next to me was like the typical church lady, you know. And so here we're singing the Old Rugged Cross, and she's singing it. And next to me on my right is the Kiowa, and he's going, so it's no wonder that my great grandfather gave me my Indian name of Enthroned, which means two roads, because he realized that I'd be looking at two roads in the course of my life. And so it kind of gave me a pause for thought. Jeffrey, two roads, you know, one of the non-Indian way and one of the Indian way. Spent time on reservations. I minored in Native American studies over at the university, and grew to have quite a diverse viewpoint of world religious traditions. But I want to share with you about how I first came to Unity, talking about the dark days of black and white television. You know, at the end of the broadcast day, I think I must have been, maybe 8 or 9 years old. And the last horse show finished, you know, I think it was like Frankenstein or Dracula. Anyway, it was, who scare me, you know, the little kid. And so they always sign off the television stations with either the national anthem with the flag waving, right? Remember that? Or they had the big signal dial with the Indian chief in the center. And then it would just go, it had that white noise. Well, this particular evening was quite interesting. Here I was kind of a little fearful from watching this horror movie, and then they were signing off for the day. But all of a sudden came this template board with a Unity Tower on it. It was a black board in white with the Unity Tower, and it said, "And now a word from Unity." And it really got my attention. And then it dissolved to this wonderfully looking older man sitting in his really comfortable chair, and he was saying, "Hello, friends." And all of a sudden, I felt this tremendous amount of peace overcoming me, you know. So usually I just turn off, because I wasn't really into, you know, a religion per se, but there was something about this individual's presence. He could have been Eric Butterworth, for all I know, maybe one of the earlier, you know, voices of unity. This is back in the late 50s. But it was so relaxing. I felt so comforted by that presence. And so, as you know, I grew up over the years, I would always be bumping into Unity literature, either in a bookstore or an office somewhere. There'd be literature around, and I'd stop and read it and everything. And all of a sudden, you know, I just kind of gravitated towards the Unity vision of our human spirituality. And I really got excited about the fact that we were known to, we have the divinity within us. It's Christ within. You know, as the same as Corinthians saying is, behold the Christ in you, the hope of glory. And I see the Christ in you, and you see the Christ in me. And maybe then we can all agree, you know. Even Jesus said, come, let's reason together. We talk about this time of year, the Prince of Peace, definitely the Prince of Peace. Always like that story of when he was on the waters with his disciples and they thought they were going to drown. Rabbi, save us, save us. He just said, calm down, just take it easy. And next thing you know, the waters are still. And I think that came from a certain emanating consciousness, the divinity of the Christ within him, not only Jesus the man, but Jesus the Christ, that assumed and attained these incredible powers that we at Unity understand that it's a demonstration of what we can do as human beings or being a spiritual being, having a human experience. So I really adhere to that notion that we have a divine inheritance. We have quite a legacy in terms of the birth and the evolution of consciousness. I like what Charles Filmore said, one of our founders at Unity. He talks about the spiritualization of consciousness. It's one thing to open your eyes and be conscious, but it's another thing to take it from there and start looking at things through spirit rather than through the material world. So he called it the spiritualization of consciousness. And it's never ending. It's an ongoing process. It's our work as being here in this material plane. We know our spirit knows it, but sometimes, our egos want to tell us otherwise in terms of how we get distracted by a lot of things. If I may, I'd just like to quote Charles in the Revealing Word, and he has this to say about life, just real briefly. Life does not emanate from the mind. It is not it is not psychic or purely mental quality, nor does it spring from the physical. Life is divine, spiritual, and its source is God's Spirit. The river of life is within man in his spiritual consciousness. He comes into consciousness of the river of life through the quickening of spirit. He can truly be quickened with new life and vitalized in mind and body only by consciously contacting spirit. And we know what this means. It means the contact is made through prayer, meditation, and good works. If that's going to be how you want to manifest, your consciousness. But it's always, we have a choice. I have a choice to make good choices in my life. How can I impact somebody else's life? How can I make their day better? And by doing that, it makes my day better. It's kind of like, you're sharing good karma or something like, good vibrations. You're just walking down there, you're shining your light and people are saying, what's with that guy? He's not crazy, but he seems kind of has this inner happiness. What's that inner glow? It's and it's a powerful thing. People have a hard time understanding that, but I'm just a happy guy because I try to walk on the sunny side of the street, in terms of the old A.B. Guthrie song. I'd like to give a fairly traditional Unity reading, and this particular reading is from Cora Filmore, Charles's second wife, from Christ Enthroned in Man. And as I said before, many times when I've spoken here, that I love Cora because she's really kind of to the point. She kind of cuts to the chase with things. She doesn't banter about with a lot of highfalutin metaphysical terms that her husband Charles would do. But that's just Charles. In fact, it's really been, in terms of the Unity movement, there's been a great evolution in terms of, kind of polishing up the archaic language of certain Unity texts, so it's more accessible in today's contemporary society. But Cora goes on to say this, and she says, but in grasping these spiritual powers, we should not make hard work of it. Often metaphysicians are bent on their spiritual demonstrations, are so bent on their spiritual demonstrations that they squeeze the joy and freedom out of life. A joyful, carefree heart is one of the most valuable assets in demonstrating health and wholeness. Exalted joy is coordinated with gratitude and praise. And it is consciousness abounding in gratitude and praise that directly relates us to God, so that we may be awakened and thrilled with the creative impulses of divine mind. It's another word for inspiration. Indeed, if a person would be a master in the realm of creative ideas, he must be free from worry and doubt and misgivings, and be filled with joyful praise and anticipation. These qualities are the magnets that draw to him the new inspirations out of the super consciousness. I think Charles would like to call it the ethers, or something to that effect. Life is progress, attainment, and mastery. And every new spiritual realization makes finer and stronger the more beautiful the texture of the soul. Its eagerness, it engenders the power to draw from the invisible the fulfillment of its highest ideals. And we always talk about trying to strive for our highest good. And that's what we do when we're focused and connected to the divine spirit within us. In biblical times, and this is what I'm talking about, the evolution of consciousness. In the song that I wrote, One Bright Star, I performed here last week, I believe, but there's a line in it that says, the consciousness of Christ begins. And that's kind of what we're celebrating, or at least, this time of year, we're kind of reminded what it's all about. And so we're celebrating the dawning of a new consciousness, Christ consciousness. In biblical times, we see each successive leader with his group of associates rising higher in consciousness than his predecessors. So in individual consciousness, each step forward in spiritual growth is just a more nearly perfect blossoming of the idea drawn out of the superconsciousness by the innate desire of the soul. Abraham was great, but David was a strong spiritual leader. Yet David, with all his love and knowledge, came nowhere near measuring up to Jesus' standard of life. So there was a progression there you can see from Abraham, David to Jesus. Divine ideas are universal in character and recognize the unity of life among people of all nations. These ideas of life, working in and through the soul, draw to them their own from the four corners of the earth. They attach to the individual and to the environment, and all the grandeur and loyalty and sublimity contained in the original idea. It is through this process that both the inner and the outer lives grow rich and full and satisfying. So it's that balance we try to strive for in our daily walk with spirit, is our inner balance and our outer balance. I think, things manifest are good when we're balanced inside in the physical world. In demonstrating the Christ life, the first thing to overcome is inertia. In the first steps in the process of evolving, there are pitfalls and stumbling blocks of which we are not aware of until we trip and fall. Look at me, I'm so spiritual. All of a sudden, boom, pride comes before a spiritual fall, as they say. I'm almost finished here. Unless we are open to spiritual light, this may happen again and again until the downward pull has established us in an indifferent state of consciousness. Confidence dies away and inertia results. But the desire and the stir of life awakens us from our inactivity and we spurs us onward. It is in the working out of this state, it is the working out of the state of lethargy that we develop spiritual powers that we should not otherwise feel the need of. Therefore, no matter where you are on the ladder of life, do not be discouraged. Back of all is God's eternal plan. Back of all's appearances, your place in the world is waiting for you, and Spirit is with you every step of the way, helping you to bring God's perfection into expression. As you struggle on for victory, a true understanding of life appears. As you cease to resist and learn to serve even the forces that would slay you, new strength and trust begin to sit in the heart, and you are no longer at the mercy of some sense consciousness, the adversary which has held you in bondage for so long. But the redeeming process must be carried on throughout the whole being, just as spiritual realizations now stamp their images upon us. So when we were in darkness and the malformed, ill-shaped thoughts that of the mortal formed from the mental concepts in us, and these must now be dealt with, it is through persistent realizations of perfect life, through broadening the vision and keeping the imagination stayed on the perfect patterns of life, that the false concepts are erased and spiritual faculties are established. Well, that's quite a mouthful. But nevertheless, it really says what our work is, being spiritual beings here having an earthly experience. So I'm going to finish up with some thoughts that you can take with you in terms of ideas of peace. And these are quotations from some people you may know and some people that you may not know. And I wrote down here, in a time when turning on the television may be a cause for anxiety and looking around social media throws you into a spiral of comparison, to find a source of serenity and peace from within. By definition, peace means freedom from disturbance. For some, that may look like inner balance, and for others, peace looks like global unity. No matter if you are on a personal journey or inner harmony or pursuing better relations in your community and beyond, the feeling of peace can be soothing. From the authors to the spiritual leaders and influential figures, this collection of peace quotes enables all levels of peace and encourage readers pause and reflect before making their mark on the world. And Janine, can I get you to play a little piano behind this? Or Kathy, whatever. Just a little, that's all right. No, sorry. Just the piano's fine. Thanks. So whether you're seeking a special quote or you hear the special quote, this will serve as our meditation. Inner peace. From Ralph Waldo Emerson. Nothing can bring you peace but yourself. Michael Cunningham. You cannot find peace by avoiding life. And from Aristotle. It is not enough to win a war. It is more important to organize the peace. From Eckhart Tolle. You find peace not by rearranging the circumstances of your life, but by realizing who you are at the deepest level. Robert Fulghum says, peace is not something you wish for. It is something you make, something you are. something you do and something you give away. This quote from Mitch Albom. You have peace, the old woman said, when you make it with yourself. And from the Dalai Lama. World peace must develop from inner peace. Peace is not just mere absence of violence. Peace, I think, the manifestation of human compassion. And from Albert Schweitzer. Until he extends the circle of his compassion to all living things, man will not himself find peace. And from Geshe Kelseng Gyatso, without inner peace, outer peace is impossible. We all wish for world peace, but world peace will never be achieved unless we first establish peace within our own minds. We can send so-called peacemaking forces into areas of conflict, but peace cannot be opposed from the outside with guns. Only by creating peace within our own mind and helping others to do the same can we hope to achieve peace in this world. And here's a few more, and we'll conclude this. From Mother Teresa, peace begins with a smile. From Thich Nhat Hanh, many people think excitement is happiness, but when you are excited, you are not peaceful. True happiness is based on peace. And from Leo Tolstoy, if you love as you say you do, if you love me as you say you do, she whispered, make it so that I am at peace. And of course, John Lennon, you may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us and the world will live as one. And of course, Mahatma Gandhi, there is no way to peace. There is only peace. From Williams Wadworth, rest and be thankful. And from Command, always ask yourself, what will happen if I say nothing? And from Kurt Vonnegut, I still believe that peace and plenty and happiness can be worked out some way. I'm a fool. And from the Buddha, better than 1,000 hollow words is one word that brings peace. And from Vincent van Gogh, there is peace even in the storm. And lastly, Ahmed Deedat, language is the key to the heart of the people. So this day, let our practice be to live a life of peace, to resist the adversary and the challenges, and stay open to our divine presence, especially during this most holy time of the year. We celebrate the consciousness of Christ, our divine inheritance. We all share as one in unity. And so it is, so it shall be, forever and ever. Amen. Thank you and namaste. You are not done. I'm not done yet. Oh, here I'm. Switch hats here. Okay. Why don't you join me in saying the prayer of protection together? The light of God surrounds us. We are The love of God enfolds us. We are love. The power of God protects us. We are power. The presence of God watches over us. We are present. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.